Hi Joe, today you find me at the RIU Explorers Conference in Fremantle, from my hotel room no less, but mate, great news about the 29.5 million that you've bagged today. I thought it was worth dropping everything to come and have a chat to you about that. What a great way to kick the year off.
Yeah, Gareth, it's a really substantial milestone for the company. We've issued, or we will issue by the end of the week, just under 20% to L1 as another strategic shareholder on the register. So for us, I guess quite exciting in the last 2 months. Not only have we brought in the biggest, industry player, largest tin miner listed on the ASX, being Metals X, as a significant shareholder, but now we have L1 as well. So a significant trade player and a significant financial investor. So really, really great backing in the last 9 months. And obviously, the share price has responded well today.
Yes, and I know how hard you've worked over the last 3 years, relentlessly actually marketing the company through some sort of challenging times. And the last 6 months has been a great sort of period for the business. L1 Capital out of Melbourne, offices around the world. Terrific new insto to have on the books. How did this partnership come about?
I've been in touch with L1 for about 3 or 4 years. So whenever I'm down in Melbourne, catch up with their principals down there. They've followed the tin story and the Elementos story very closely. Of course, over the last few years, when we've done capital raises, hasn't been the right time either for us or them. But so certainly in the last couple of weeks, the conversations intensified. And via a broker, BW Equities, which has supported the company for a while, they came to the party this time. So they approached us. They were looking for a substantial stake. As I said, they're a high conviction fund. So when they do tend to back companies, they like to come in with a pretty big swing. And for a company with a market cap, not a small, but around 150 million, they tend to make much bigger bets. For them coming in at a substantial stake, and for us at the 19.9 level, made sense. As I said, they are big investors in metals and mining, and I believe they're making the call that not only tin, not only Elementos, but the whole market's in for some good days ahead.
I think, you touched on it. They don't normally play at this end of the market, so really you must take that as a terrific vote of confidence, surely.
Yeah, well, my conversations with many shareholders and other industry players today has reflected exactly that, Gareth. To have L1 come onto our register with such strength and with such conviction is a great sign for us. And a great backing of what we've done. Obviously, the last 12 months, feasibility study, option agreements over smelters, significant progress on our permits. It's obviously, ticked a lot of the boxes for a group like them who does do very robust due diligence before they come into these sort of investors. So, you have to think they're seeing us having a pretty rosy future moving forward and want it as high as an exposure as possible.
Certainly the Elementos story has taken a really nice shape over the last few years. You've got your flagship Oropesa in Spain that you set up as a vertical play. I think quite a clever play. And then you've got the Cleveland project in Tasmania up your sleeve, which is sort of tin at its heart, but also lots of tungsten and other sort of critical minerals that the world wants. So, very nicely woven together. How will you spend the money, the funds that you've put together, almost over 40 million now, or over 40 million, not almost?
Yeah, that's right, Gareth. So we're well funded before this. We had about $12 million, which had us well funded through this year into next year to hit a lot of those, what we refer to as the pre-final investment decision milestones, and set ourselves up for quite a substantial project financing raise. What these new funds, which as you said, you add them together and we get a bit over $40 million that'll be in the bank account by the end of the week. This really sets us up to do two things, really. So basically, it's clear that these funds should be more than sufficient to get us to FID. What we'll do is then have a pool of funds and a very good looking balance sheet to assist us in our project finance negotiations. Now, like any negotiation, it's good to come from a position of strength. And for a junior miner, the best position of strength is to have cash on your balance sheet when you're negotiating with debt providers, when you're negotiating with offtake and equity partners. So for us, that is really strengthens us. It also allows us to, and then we haven't made commitments on these yet, but it allows us to look at a few extra options moving forward. A couple of them would be further de-risk the project moving forward, purchase some of the land holdings, do some additional engineering, purchase long lead items. These are all options that the board will be considering into FID. They obviously require a few more funds in the bank account. And secondly, we've got some opportunities that we haven't really been focused on the last little while. Some additional drilling. Our resource remains open on a number of directions, as well as having some really interesting near mine targets. So for us, the combination of having the optionality, and optionality is the key word here, to either further de-risk or add more value whilst we're moving towards final investment decision. It's a really fortunate position to be in, and not only do I want to thank L1 for backing us in this raise, but the support of all our shareholders and another bunch of funds that we got in at the end of last year.
Look, I think it's probably worth noting that you're a former project director, and I think you've really made a name for yourself over the last few years of being able to make a dollar stretch further than most. My sense is Elementos and the board certainly understands the value of the dollar. So I think shareholders could definitely take heart from the fact that you'll make that 40 million go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing we plan to do is burn this money and triple the size of our business or anything like that. We're going to remain prudent, and we will make sure every decision we make moving forward either increases the value of the assets and the company by either de-risking things or adding additional value.
And look, I think we can't end a conversation about Elementos without referring to the tin price. It's very chunky at the moment. It's staying around, sustained around $50,000 a ton. You sort of reflect that or reconcile that against the mining study or scoping study that you did on Elementos. There's a lot of upside there to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we did our scoping study, we chose to use a conservative price of $30,000. The price at the time was about 34. There was a few guys. The average forecast was saying about 35 moving forward. Obviously, with this whole metals bull run, tin has been one of the most has grown and increased the most. We spent a fair bit of time over $50,000 in the past few months. We're a tick under that now, around 46 or 47. As China's gone into their Chinese New Year celebrations or holiday celebrations. So for that, this is fantastic. This is 50% higher than our base case of our studies. Obviously, the financial returns multiply significantly from that. We've published our sensitivity tables many times in our public documents. For anyone that's interested, go have a look. But I think also, Gareth, and obviously we are a tin company. We have our second asset. We obviously have our flagship, the Oropesa project in Spain. You referred before about the Cleveland project in Tasmania, which is an old mine. It's a restart, and very recently, as a couple of weeks ago, we put out a very substantial increase of tungsten sitting at the bottom of the old tin mine. If you want to talk about price increases, go have a look at the tungsten price right now. I think we're in $160,000 or $170,000. It's gone up 200% in a couple of months. So, this is all driven by export restrictions out of China, and I guess a race for not only construction materials and metals for data centers and nuclear reactors, but also military applications. So, being in tin and tungsten right now, honestly, I couldn't think of two better commodities.
Well, for all the hard work you put in, the perspiration is certainly. It's good to have a little bit of luck and some tailwinds behind the business, money in the bank, some terrific projects, good partners, a great team. It really looks like a good year ahead for Elementos.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. I completely agree.